Okay, so, has your mom ever slapped you? Like, actually slapped you in public? No, right? Most people can say no to that. So let me tell you about the time mine did. At my sister's wedding, in front of, 200 people, judges, lawyers, half of Boston's fancy legal crowd, everyone just watching. And she hands me this stack of documents right there on stage, in front of everybody, basically telling me to sign away my $2 million penthouse as a wedding gift for my sister. I say no, and her palm connects with my face so hard my earring goes flying across the marble floor. I'm not kidding, this actually happened. March 15th, 2021. They expected me to cry, to apologize, to just fold like I always had. Instead, I picked up my earring off the floor, walked out, and made one phone call. And 1 hour later, a woman walks into that reception. And when my mother sees who it is, she starts screaming, because the person she'd been telling everyone was senile, was basically gone, had just shown up with a lawyer, and proof of everything she'd been hiding. Okay, before I get into it, if this story ends up resonating with you, hit like, subscribe, whatever, but only if it actually lands, you know? I'm not here to beg. Let me back up, because you need the full 3 years to get why that slap even happened. So, the call came on a random Tuesday evening in March 2018. I'm sitting in my studio apartment in Medford, eating leftover pad thai, going over blueprints for a client's kitchen reno, and my grandmother's name lights up my phone. Claire, sweetheart, she says. Margaret Whitmore, that's my grandma, and her voice is steady, like it always is. I need to tell you something, and I need you to listen carefully. My grandmother had been a law professor for 31 years before she retired. She does not waste words. So when she tells me she's updating her will and she's leaving me her penthouse, the one on Harborview Lane she'd bought back in 2012 for $1.8 million, worth over 2 now, I just set down my chopsticks. I listened. Why me? I asked her. And I want to be clear, it wasn't because I didn't want it. I genuinely didn't understand. Because you're the only one who visits, she said. Simple as that. Every Sunday, for 10 years, Claire. Your mother sends Christmas cards. Your sister sends nothing at all. You bring me tulips because you remember they're my favorite. You sit with me when I've got nothing interesting to say. I felt my eyes prick up. Grandma, the paperwork's getting finalized next month. David Reyes is handling it. He's been my attorney for 20 years. She paused. Your mother will not be pleased. Understatement of the decade, as it turns out. The news got to my family within weeks. I still don't know how. Maybe someone at David's firm mentioned it to someone who knew someone. Boston's legal world is smaller than people think. All I know is, by April 2018, my mother's organized what she's calling a family discussion at her $4 million house in Beacon Hill. And I walk into that living room, and I swear they're seated like a tribunal. My dad Douglas in his leather armchair, my mom Susan on the settee, my sister Kayla perched on the arm of the couch like she's posing for a photo. Claire, my mother's voice, honey over broken glass, you know that tone. We need to talk about your grandmother's condition. Her condition. I sit down in the only open seat, this straight-backed chair facing all 3 of them like an interrogation. She seems fine to me. She's clearly not thinking straight. Susan crosses her legs, her bracelet catching the light, leaving a $2 million property to one grandchild, excluding everyone else? That's not the behavior of a rational woman. She's not excluding anyone, I said. She's giving me something she wants me to have. That's her right. And Kayla lets out this small, theatrical sob. This is so unfair. I've always loved Grandma. I just don't have time to visit like you do. I have a career. I have a life. You have a trust fund, and a fiancé with a yacht, I thought, didn't say it. The fair thing to do, my dad says, first time he's spoken, using that measured lawyer voice, would be for you to decline the inheritance, or at least agree to sell the property and split it among family members. I just stared at him. Douglas Bennett hadn't asked me one question about my life in years. Missed my college graduation because of a scheduling conflict that turned out to be a golf tournament, and now he's telling me what's fair. I'm not declining anything, I said, and I'm not selling anything. Grandma made this decision because she wanted to. If you've got a problem with it, take it up with her. The temperature in that room dropped 10 degrees. Susan's smile just vanished. Then I hope you're prepared, she said, for the consequences of being so selfish. And the consequences came fast. By that summer, I'd been quietly dropped from the family group chat. I found out about Kayla's engagement party through an Instagram post. A photo of her surrounded by our cousins, champagne glasses up, some venue I recognized. Caption said, "Future Mrs. Caldwell." 3 little diamond emojis. Nobody told me. Nobody invited me. When I asked my mom about it, "Oh, we assumed you wouldn't want to come. You've been so busy with your little decorating business." My little decorating business was a licensed interior design studio, 12 active clients, revenue that had doubled that year. But to Susan, anything that wasn't a law degree or a rich husband was just a hobby. And honestly, the exclusion wasn't even the worst part. It was what came with it. The stories. I overheard her at some neighborhood thing I wasn't even invited to. Claire manipulated my mother, visited her constantly, turned her against the family. You know how vulnerable elderly people can be. She painted me as a predator, a schemer, the ungrateful daughter who exploited a confused old woman. And I never corrected her, not once, not publicly. I thought, if I just stay quiet, keep my head down, the storm passes eventually. I didn't get it yet. The silence was exactly what she was counting on. And what I really didn't get was why Grandma moved into that senior living place in late 2018. Nice place, 12 grand a month, out in Newton. She told me she wanted peace and quiet, said she was tired of the drama, but sometimes, on my Sunday visits, I'd catch something in her eyes. Something almost like fear. "Grandma," I asked her once, "did something happen between you and Mom?" She just looked out the window at the gardens for a long moment. "Some things are better left alone," she said, "at least for now," and I let it go. I shouldn't have. 3 years would pass before I understood what she was actually hiding and why. Okay, so, December 2020, 3 months before the wedding that changes everything. I'm in my studio on a Friday, going through fabric samples, and the mail comes. Heavy cream cardstock, my name in this insanely elaborate calligraphy. Takes me a second to even read it. It's an invitation. Kayla's wedding, March 15th, 2021. Black tie. I just stared at it for a full minute. 2 years of being treated like a ghost. No holidays, no birthdays, nothing. And now they're inviting me to the wedding. Phone rings that same night. My mother. "Claire, darling," warm voice, almost affectionate. I hadn't heard that tone since before all this inheritance stuff broke. "Did you get Kayla's invitation?" "I did." "Wonderful. You know, this wedding is going to be such a beautiful chance for our family to heal, to move forward." Pause, very deliberate. "To show everyone the Bennetts are united." I waited. I knew there was more. "I've been thinking," she goes on, and there it is, the actual reason for the call. This would be the perfect time to revisit our conversation about the penthouse. Kayla and Ethan are going to need a place after the honeymoon, somewhere appropriate. I just closed my eyes. Of course, the invitation wasn't an olive branch. It was bait. "Mom, the penthouse is mine. Grandma left it to me. That hasn't changed." "Nothing has to change, sweetheart. You could simply transfer it as a wedding gift. Think how generous that'd look. Think how proud Grandma would be seeing you support your sister. I mean, the audacity. Using my grandmother, the one person who specifically chose to give me that apartment, as the argument for why I should give it away. I'm not transferring anything, Claire. The warmth's gone now. Kayla deserves a proper start. She's marrying into the Caldwells. Ethan's father's a managing partner. They'll be entertaining, hosting. They need a home that reflects their status. Then his dad can buy them one. Silence. And when she speaks again, her voice is ice. I expect you to think carefully about this before the wedding, and I expect you to make the right choice. She hangs up, and I'm sitting there as the sun sets, these long shadows across my drafting table, and I understand exactly what's at stake. If I go to that wedding and say no again in front of everyone she spent decades cultivating, she is going to make me pay. Tell every guest I'm the selfish, ungrateful daughter who ruined her sister's big day, weaponized the entire Boston legal world against me. My reputation, my business, half my referrals came from word of mouth in exactly those circles. But if I don't go, that's its own kind of surrender, like I'm too ashamed to show my face. I thought about skipping it, I really did, but something in me just refused. I hadn't done anything wrong. I'd accepted a gift from someone who loved me. I wasn't going to feel like a criminal over it. I RSVP'd yes. 1 week before the wedding, my phone rings at 7 in the morning. Grandma. Sweetheart, she says. And there's this urgency in her voice I'd only heard maybe a handful of times in my life. I need you to listen carefully. I'm listening. If something happens at that wedding, and I believe something will, I want you to call David Reyes immediately. The number's 617-555-0142. Write that down. I grab a pen. Grandma, what are you talking about? What's going to happen? Your mother thinks I don't know what she's planning. She forgets I was practicing law before she was born. Steady voice, but I could hear steel underneath it. I've prepared everything, Claire. David has all the documents. If you need them, they're ready. Documents? What documents? Just remember the number. And remember, she pauses, that I love you. Whatever happens, I love you. She hangs up before I can ask anything else. I save David's number, and I don't even understand why my hands are shaking. I wouldn't understand until I actually walked through the doors of that hotel, March 15th, 2021. 5 o'clock. The Grand Colonial Hotel. This place rises up over the square like a monument to old money. I'd driven past it 100 times, but walking in as a guest, as a Bennett, felt completely different. Felt like walking into enemy territory, honestly. The ballroom is stunning. White orchids everywhere, crystal chandeliers, a whole jazz band playing Gershwin in the corner. Waiters circling with champagne, every single detail screaming money, taste, and my mother's personal touch. 127 guests. I counted the chairs during cocktail hour. Lawyers, doctors, bankers, old Boston families with their names on hospital wings. These are the people my mom spent 3 decades impressing. Her audience, her witnesses. I wore a navy dress, elegant, not flashy. I'd debated for hours, because anything too expensive gets called showing off the penthouse money, and anything too simple is embarrassing the family. In the end, I just wore something that felt like me. My dad finds me by the ice sculpture, a swan, of course, 10 minutes after I get there. Claire. He nods, eyes sliding past me like I'm furniture he's trying not to bump into. Glad you could make it, Dad. We just stand there. 32 years, and we've got nothing to say to each other. Kayla shows up in this cloud of white tulle, veil trailing behind her. She hugs me, arms around me, but not really touching, the way you hug a stranger at a networking event. Claire, you came. Camera-ready smile, perfect teeth, perfect performance. Of course I came. You're my sister. She pulls back, and her expression shifts. Subtle, calculating. Did you bring the paperwork? I blink. What paperwork? Mom said you'd have the transfer documents ready by today. Light voice, almost playful, but her eyes are hard. For the penthouse, our wedding gift, so that's it. They'd already decided, among themselves, that I'd just comply. The invitation, the phone call, all that reconciliation theater, just a setup for this exact moment. Kayla, there are no transfer documents. What do you mean? I mean, the penthouse is mine. It's not a gift. It's not up for discussion. Her smile flickers. But Mom said, I don't know what Mom told you. I keep my voice low, steady. But I'm not signing anything. Not today. Not ever. Her jaw tightens, and for a second she looks exactly like Susan. Same flash of fury, barely held back. You know, Ethan and I were planning to move in after the honeymoon. We already told the realtor we don't need the condo in Back Bay. We already told everyone. You told everyone about an apartment that isn't yours. It should be ours. Her voice rises a little. You don't even need it. You live in that little place in Medford. You don't entertain. What's the point of you having a $2 million penthouse? The point? God. What was the point of me having anything nice, anything that suggested I might matter as much as she did? I'd spent my whole life getting asked that question in different ways. The point, I said quietly, is that Grandma wanted me to have it, and her wishes matter more than your real estate plans. She just stares at me, then leans in close, bridal perfume overwhelming. Mom's going to handle this, she whispers. And when she does, don't say I didn't warn you. And she sweeps off toward her bridesmaids, leaving me alone by the melting Swan. I head to the bar, needing something to steady my nerves. Before I can even order, this woman in a cream suit steps into my path. Helen Whitaker, one of my mom's tennis friends, married to a federal judge. You're Claire, aren't you? Smile that doesn't reach her eyes. Susan's mentioned you. I bet she has. I hear you're holding on to some property for your grandmother, she goes on. Very responsible of you. Will you be selling it soon? And there it is, the whole narrative my mother's been spinning. I'm not the heir. I'm the caretaker, the temporary custodian of assets that'll eventually get distributed properly. Actually, I said, I live there. Her eyebrows shoot up. Oh, I thought, well, never mind. And she excuses herself, disappears into the crowd. And I'm just standing there in this sea of silk and judgment, finally getting the full scope of what I'm up against. My mother had been building this battlefield for years. Every conversation, every social event, every little comment, all of it groundwork. And tonight, she meant to collect. I just didn't know yet how far she'd go. I slip out to the balcony. Cold March air, but honestly, welcome after the stuffy ballroom. I lean on the railing, trying to slow my heart rate, and my phone buzzes. Grandma, hello, my dear girl. Calm voice, almost too calm. Tell me what's happening. I glance through the glass at the crowd inside. How do you know something's happening? Because I know my daughter. Pause. Susan's been planning something for weeks, making calls, gathering people, building her case. She thinks I don't know because I'm locked away in my nursing home. I could hear the disdain in her voice. She forgets I have friends who actually like me. I almost laughed. Almost. What's she planning? I don't know exactly, but I know it'll happen tonight, while she has her audience. That's how Susan operates. She needs witnesses. She needs people to validate her. Her voice softens. Claire, do you remember the number I gave you? David's number. I've got it saved. If anything happens, anything at all, call him immediately. He's expecting your call. He has everything ready. I press my back against the cold stone. Grandma, what is everything? What aren't you telling me? Long silence on the line. 6 months ago, she finally says, your friend Chris came to visit me. Chris Bowman. We'd been friends since freshman year of college. He's a reporter, now works the investigative desk. Mentioned to me once he was looking into some weird real estate stuff around town, but I never connected it to anything. He came to see you? Why? Because he found something strange. A property sale back in 2017. A house on Cape Cod that belonged to me. A house I never sold. My breath just catches. What do you mean you never sold it? I mean exactly that. Your mother sold it for $875,000. She forged my signature on the documents. The whole world tilts a little. I grip the railing. Grandma, I didn't want to believe it either. That's why I hired experts, a forensic document company, right here in Boston. They analyzed the signature. Probability of forgery, 98.7%. 98.7%. That's not doubt. That's certainty. Why didn't you tell me? My voice comes out hoarse. Why didn't you go to the police? Because she's my daughter. Her voice cracks, just slightly, before she steadies it. Because I still hope, there's some explanation. Some reason it isn't what it looks like. But we both knew there wasn't. That's why you moved to Harborview, I said, understanding hitting me all at once. Not for peace and quiet, because you couldn't stand being around her. I couldn't trust her, Claire, and I couldn't prove anything without blowing up everything. So I removed myself, protected what I could, the penthouse, my remaining assets, and I waited. For what? For Susan to make a mistake. Her voice hardens. Tonight might be that mistake. If she pushes too far, exposes herself publicly, David has everything he needs. The forensic report, the transaction documents, witnesses who can confirm I was in the hospital with a broken hip when I supposedly signed those papers. I signed nothing, authorized nothing. I close my eyes, just absorbing all of it. My mother hadn't just tried to manipulate me. She stole from her own mother, committed fraud, and let Grandma take the blame, not being rational for changing her will. Claire, her voice pulls me back. I'm not telling you this to make you hate your mother. I'm telling you because you need to understand what you're dealing with. And you need to know, if she corners you tonight, you are not alone. You have never been alone. I hear the jazz band start up again inside, some swing number that suddenly feels grotesquely cheerful. What do you want me to do? Whatever happens, don't sign anything. And if it goes badly, if she pushes you past what you can take, call David. Tell him the documents are needed. He'll know exactly what to do. Pause. When she speaks again, I can hear the smile in her voice. If David calls me, I'll be there within the hour. I've been waiting 3 years for this, darling. I'm not going to miss it. She hangs up, and I just stand there on that balcony, cold wind in my hair, and then I straighten my shoulders, smooth my dress, and walk back in. I was ready, or I thought I was. Okay, I need to pause here for a sec, because I know some of you have been in a room like that one, surrounded by people who are supposed to love you, and instead they just make you feel small. If this is hitting close to home for you, let me know in the comments. Should I have walked out right then, or was I right to stay? I actually want to know what you think. Okay, so back to the story. 7:30 p.m. Dinner's done and cleared. Toasts have happened. My dad's stiff little speech about legacy. Ethan's father waxing on about the merger of two great Boston families. Kayla's maid of honor telling some sorority story that got polite laughs. I'm at table 14, way in the back, with a bunch of distant cousins who clearly don't know why I'm even there. Honestly, fine by me. I wanted to be invisible, but my mother had other plans. This clink of metal on crystal cuts through the room. My mom's standing at the head table, champagne flute in one hand, mic in the other. Radiant smile, gown glittering under the chandeliers. If I could have everyone's attention, she says, I'd like to take a moment for something very special. A family tradition Kayla's asked me to facilitate. and I feel this first prickle of warning at the base of my spine. As many of you know, the Bennett family believes in taking care of each other. Her eyes sweep the room, land on me for a second, keep moving. And tonight, in that spirit, I'd like to invite my eldest daughter, Claire, to join me up here. 127 pairs of eyes turned toward table 14. I don't move. I can't move. Claire, sweetheart, gentle voice, but I know it's a performance. Come on up, honey. Don't be shy. What choice did I have? Refuse, and I'm the difficult one, the ungrateful one, the sister who ruined the wedding with her stubbornness. So I stand. My legs feel like they belong to someone else as I walk through all these tables, past the whispers, up to the platform where my mother's waiting with this, I don't even know how to describe it, this serpent smile. There she is. She puts an arm around my shoulders, looks like affection to the room, feels like a grip to me. Now everyone, Claire's been holding on to something very precious. My mother left her a beautiful penthouse, $2.1 million, quite an inheritance, murmurs through the crowd. I see Helen Whitaker nodding like she already knew. Claire's been keeping it safe, Susan goes on, waiting for just the right moment to share it with the family. And what better moment than this? Kayla's wedding day, the start of her new life. She pulls out a folder, I didn't even see her holding it, and opens it to this thick stack of legal documents. Transfer of deed. All Claire needs to do is sign, and this incredible gift will help Kayla and Ethan start their marriage off right. And the room actually applauds, like this is a heartwarming moment, like I'm about to perform some act of sisterly love, not get publicly coerced into handing over my inheritance in front of everyone. Mom, my voice is quiet but steady. I'm not signing this. Her smile doesn't budge. Don't be nervous, sweetheart. It's just paperwork. It's not just paperwork. It's the apartment Grandma left to me. Not Kayla, not the family, me. The applause dies, and the silence after it is deafening. Claire. Her grip on my shoulder tightens. Voice drops, but the mic still picks it up. Let's not make this difficult. I'm not making it anything. I'm telling you no. Kayla appears at the edge of the platform, face doing this wounded innocence thing. Claire, you're really going to do this on my wedding day? Kayla, I didn't ask to be called up here. You knew we'd need it, she snaps. We already told the realtor. We already told everyone. You told everyone about an apartment that's mine. Susan's face, and I watch it happen in real time, just cracks, reddens. Her voice rises. You ungrateful child. After everything we've done for you, you didn't do anything for me. You've never even been to my studio, and you didn't raise me. Grandma did. Every summer, while you were off at galas. Gasps ripple through the room. I know I've said too much. I can't stop. The penthouse is mine because Grandma wanted me to have it, because I was there, because I cared. And no amount of humiliation is going to change that. And that's when her hand moves. So fast, I don't even see it coming. The slap connects with my cheek hard enough to snap my head sideways. My earring, the one Grandma gave me for my 30th birthday, flies off and bounces across the marble floor with this little bell sound. Total silence. I mean total. For a second, I just stand there, cheek burning, vision blurred, every single person in that room staring, waiting to see what I'd do. What I did was breathe. I bent down, picked up the earring, bent but not broken, straightened it, and put it back on. Then I looked at my mother. That's the last time you touch me, I said. My voice didn't shake. I was proud of that. I turned, walked off the platform, through the tables, past the whispers, out the doors, and into the lobby. Didn't run, didn't cry, found a quiet corner by the concierge desk, pulled out my phone, and dialed the number I'd saved a week earlier. It rang once. David Reyes's office. This is Claire Bennett. My voice was calm, steady. Please tell my grandmother that the documents are needed. Understood, Miss Bennett. She'll be there within the hour. I hung up, sat down on a velvet bench, touched my cheek, and waited 1 hour. That's all I needed. 8:45 p.m. I'm still on that bench when the doors open and my grandmother walks in. She's 78, moves with a cane now, slower than I remembered growing up, but she still has that presence, the one that made her one of the most respected law professors in Boston for 30 years. Gray cashmere coat, simple black dress, silver hair pinned back. And beside her, David Reyes, mid-40s, carrying a briefcase that looked like it held the weight of the world. Grandma, I stand up, and for a second my composure just breaks. You came. She crosses the lobby, takes my face in her hands, examines my cheek with eyes that miss nothing. She hit you. Yes. Her jaw tightens. Then she kisses my forehead, gently, the way she used to when I was a kid and fell off my bike. Then let's finish this, she says. We walk into the ballroom together. Total chaos. Guests clustered up. Champagne forgotten. Kayla's actually crying now. Susan's near the head table, gesturing at my dad, who's trying to calm her down. Nobody notices us at first. Then someone gasps, then someone else, and then my mother turns and sees her own mother walking toward her across the marble floor. Mom, the word comes out strangled. Her face goes white. What? How are you? I'm here for my granddaughter's wedding, Grandma says, and her voice carries across the suddenly silent room. I wasn't invited, of course, but I decided to come anyway. Kayla just stares, mascara running. What is this? What are you doing here? Susan's voice rises. I'm doing what I should have done 3 years ago. Grandma stops about 10 feet away, close enough that everyone can hear. I'm telling the truth. And she turns to face all 127 of them. Lawyers, judges, people who understand exactly what's about to happen. My name is Margaret Whitmore. I was a law professor for 31 years. I am of sound mind, and I'm here to confirm that the penthouse on Harborview Lane, the property my daughter has been publicly demanding my granddaughter surrender, was left to Claire Bennett in my will, dated June 2016. That will is legal, valid, enforceable. There are no other claims to that property. David steps forward, opens his briefcase. This is a certified copy of Mrs. Whitmore's will, notarized and filed with the county probate court. I've been her attorney for 23 years and can attest to its authenticity. Susan's face contorts. This is absurd. Mother, you're confused. I understand perfectly. Grandma's voice turns to ice. What you don't understand is that I've been watching you for 3 years. She nods to David, who pulls out a second set of papers. These are transaction records for the Cape Cod property, deeded in my name, until it was sold September 2017 for $875,000. The room goes completely, totally silent. I did not sell that property, Grandma continues. I could not have sold it. I was in the hospital for 6 weeks that fall, recovering from a broken hip. I signed nothing, authorized nothing. Susan's mouth opens and closes. Nothing comes out. David produces a third document, a forensic analysis of the signature on those documents, compared against verified samples of Mrs. Whitmore's handwriting. Their conclusion: the signature is inconsistent with her authentic hand. Probability of forgery, 98.7%. Murmurs erupt across the ballroom. I watch Ethan's father exchange a look with another lawyer near the bar. You're lying. Susan's voice cracks. This is fabricated. You're senile, Mother. You don't know what you're saying. I'm sharp enough to hire experts, Grandma replies. Sharp enough to preserve evidence, and sharp enough to have already forwarded this entire file to the district attorney's office last week. All the color just drains from Susan's face. You didn't? Forgery and fraud, Susan. Up to 5 years in prison under Massachusetts law. Her voice goes almost gentle, the same tone she probably used explaining law to first years 40 years ago. I didn't want to believe my own daughter could do this. I gave you 3 years to confess, to make it right. Instead, you spent them calling my granddaughter a manipulator, calling me senile, trying to steal her inheritance the same way you stole my property. Susan whips around to my father. Douglas, say something. Stop this. And my dad, who's been standing there through this whole thing silent, just takes a step back. I didn't know, he says, flat voice. I didn't know about the house. You signed the transfer. She's shrieking now. You were there. I signed what you told me to sign. I didn't know it was forged. I watched 35 years of marriage just disintegrate, right there, in real time. Kayla's voice comes out small and broken. Mom, what is Grandma talking about? Susan doesn't answer, can't answer. She's standing in the middle of her own perfectly built stage, her perfect wedding, her perfect audience, and it's all falling apart around her. Grandma turns to me. Her eyes look tired, sad, but resolute. Claire, I'm sorry you had to find out this way. I'm sorry I waited so long. It's okay, Grandma. I take her hand. I understand. She squeezes my fingers, then looks at my mother one last time. You lost me the day I found out what you'd done. Tonight, everyone else just got to see it too. Pause. I hope someday you find it in yourself to take responsibility. But I won't hold my breath. She turns toward the exit. I walk beside her. Behind us, I can hear Susan screaming, incoherent denials, accusations, but I don't look back, not once. Okay, I want to pause here for a second. When I walked out of that ballroom with my grandmother, I wasn't thinking about revenge, wasn't thinking about winning. I was just thinking about how much time we'd already lost and how grateful I was we still had some left. If you've ever had someone in your life who believed in you when literally nobody else did, drop their name in the comments. They deserve that. Okay, back to it. We make it to the lobby before Ethan catches up to us. I hear his footsteps first, that sharp click of expensive shoes on marble. I turn, expecting anger, maybe threats. What I get instead is calculation. Mrs. Whitmore. He addresses my grandmother directly, doesn't even look at me. I think we should talk about this privately. There might be some misunderstandings we can clear up. Grandma looks at him the way she probably used to look at particularly dim law students. There are no misunderstandings, Mr. Caldwell. But surely, the whole Cape Cod thing, families have disputes, paperwork gets complicated. If we could just sit down with the lawyers. The paperwork was forged. My daughter committed fraud. Those aren't disputes. Those are crimes. And I watch his mask slip a little. Underneath it, something desperate. The penthouse. Kayla mentioned you might be reconsidering your will, given the circumstances. The new family. Perhaps there's a way, Mr. Caldwell. Her voice cuts like a blade. I am not reconsidering anything. The penthouse belongs to Claire. It will continue to belong to Claire. And if you're asking whether I'll leave my remaining assets to a granddaughter who just married a man willing to beg at a ballroom door, the answer is no. His face goes red. For a second, I think he might say something ugly. Instead, Grandma just smiles. That smile that makes courtroom lawyers nervous. You married the wrong Bennett, young man. And frankly, given what I've seen of your character tonight, Kayla's welcome to you. She turns and walks away without another word. David steps in front of Ethan. I'd advise you return to your wedding, Mr. Caldwell. Anything you say now could be relevant to ongoing investigations. And Ethan, son of a big shot managing partner, suddenly just looks young, scared. He backs off. We step out into the cold. Rain in the air, streetlights on the cobblestones. Grandma, I say, voice thick. I'm so sorry about the wedding, the scene, all of it. She pats my arm. Don't be sorry. I've been waiting 3 years to say those things. It felt wonderful, and despite everything, I laugh. raw, broken, but real. What happens now? David answers, all business. The DA's office will proceed with the investigation. Mrs. Whitmore's provided substantial documentation. Whether charges get filed depends on their review, but the evidence is compelling. And Susan? Grandma's face softens into something that's either grief or relief. Hard to tell which. That's up to the courts now. I've done what I needed to do. I think about my mother, still in that ballroom, surrounded by all the people she'd spent her life impressing, watching everything crumble. Part of me feels this savage satisfaction, but a bigger part just feels tired. I'm not doing this for revenge, I say, not even sure if I'm telling them or myself. No, Grandma agrees. You're doing it because some things can't be allowed to continue. Some lies can't stand. She looks at me. There's no cruelty in telling the truth, Claire. There's only clarity. A car pulls up. David had arranged it while we were inside. I should get your grandmother home, he says. It's been a long night. Grandma waves a hand. I'm not fragile, David. But yes, I am tired. She turns to me. Come by tomorrow. We've got a lot to talk about. And I want to hear how your business is really going, not the polished version. I'll be there. She hugs me, a real one this time, not the performance Susan gave me on that stage. I hold on longer than I probably should. I love you, my sweet girl, she murmurs. I love you too, Grandma. She gets in the car. I watch it pull away into the Boston night. I stand on that sidewalk for a long time. My phone buzzes. Text from Chris. Just saw the legal beat guy tweet something cryptic about a prominent Boston attorney. Was that? I text back. I'll explain later. Thank you for everything. Another text from a number I don't recognize. Claire, it's Rachel Simmons from Fenwick Legal. We were at the wedding. I owe you an apology. I believed things I shouldn't have. If you're ever interested in design work for our new office, call me. I just stare at the screen. Rachel Simmons, one of the women I saw whispering with Helen earlier, now offering me business. I wasn't sure if I'd call her, but I saved the number. Then I put my phone away, pulled my coat tighter, and walked toward the garage. First time in 3 years I felt like I could actually breathe. So, the fallout. It was fast, and it was thorough. 2 weeks after the wedding, my mother gets summoned to the DA's office for questioning about the Cape Cod sale. Interview lasts 4 hours. When she comes out, according to David, she looked 10 years older. Her lawyer, some colleague from her tennis club who'd agreed to represent her, dropped the case within days, citing conflict of interest. Real reason, probably. He saw the evidence and wanted nothing to do with a losing battle. My dad moved to a hotel on March 28th because even mid-crisis, Douglas Bennett keeps up appearances. Released some statement about seeking space to process recent revelations, no prior knowledge of improper transactions. Whether anyone believed that? Well, his signature was right there on the transfer documents next to hers. After 30 years of standing silently beside his wife, he'd burned through most of his goodwill. Kayla and Ethan postponed the honeymoon indefinitely. Heard from a cousin that his parents wanted his legal exposure clarified before they let the couple travel internationally. The whole penthouse moving in plan, dead, obviously. The social fallout crept in quieter, but just as brutal. My mom got disinvited from some charity gala she'd co-chaired for 17 years. Email just said her involvement was under review. The Bar Association opened an ethics inquiry, and then a small item runs in a legal beat column. Boston attorney under investigation for alleged document fraud. No names given. Didn't need them. Everyone in that world knew within hours. I got 11 texts that week from people I hadn't heard from in years. Some apologies, some support. A few just fishing for gossip, which I ignored. But the one that actually mattered came from Rachel Simmons. Full apology email said watching how I handled myself that night made her ashamed of her own credulity. Offered me a real project, full redesign of their conference floor, 82 grand, 3-month timeline. Biggest contract I'd ever landed. By May, I'd gotten 2 more inquiries from attorneys who'd been at the wedding. Word was spreading, not just about my mother's downfall, but about my actual work. People who used to write me off as the Bennett daughter with a decorating hobby were suddenly curious about the one who stood her ground. I didn't trust all of it, vetted every client carefully, turned down one project from someone clearly just fishing for gossip about my mom's case. But slowly, I started rebuilding, not just the business, my sense of who I actually was. And then, early May, this certified letter. The 2017 sale of Grandma's Cape Cod house was under legal review. If the sale gets voided for fraud, the buyers could have claims against my mother for the purchase price. The property could revert back to my grandmother's estate. David told me it could take years, but the wheels were turning. My mother, who'd spent her whole life building up status and property and social capital, I watched it all just slip away. I won't pretend there wasn't some satisfaction in that, but mostly, I just felt peace. Justice was never about revenge. It was about the world finally seeing what was true. Okay, so, June 2021, 3 months after the wedding, I'm sitting on my penthouse balcony, watching the sun go down over the harbor. Skies all streaked orange and pink, and the whole thing's the kind of evening Grandma always loved. Big sky, quiet, a glass of wine, nowhere to be. She's here now, actually. Comes every Sunday. I pick her up in the morning. We spend the day together. Museum sometimes. Sometimes we just sit out here and talk. Today we've been talking about my dad. He called me, I tell her, yesterday. She raises an eyebrow, and wanted to explain his side of things. I swirl my wine. Says he didn't know about the Cape Cod house. Says Mom handled all the paperwork, and he just signed wherever she told him to. Do you believe him? I actually think about it. Really think. I believe he didn't ask questions, I finally say. I believe he chose not to know. I think he's been choosing not to know for 35 years about a lot of things. She nods slowly. And what did you tell him? That I need time, that I'm not ready to see him yet, that if he wants a relationship with me, he has to earn it, not by explaining or apologizing, but by actually showing up, consistently, over time. She reaches over, squeezes my hand. That's a healthy boundary, sweetheart. We just sit there a while. Sunset getting deeper. Kayla texted me. I add. I heard. She wants to talk. And will you talk to her? I look out at the harbor, boats coming in, city lights flickering on. Not yet. Maybe not for a long time. I pause. She knew, Grandma. Maybe not about the house, specifically, but about the pressure, the manipulation. She was there every time. Mom called me selfish, never once defended me, never once questioned what she was being told. That's true. If she wants a sister, she has to want the truth. She has to be willing to see who our mother really is. And I don't think she's there yet. So I'm not closing the door forever, I say, but I'm not opening it until she's ready to walk through. Honestly, Grandma smiles, small and proud. You've learned something I wish I'd learned at your age. What's that? That love without respect isn't love. It's just habit. She looks at me. You deserve both. I started therapy that April, actually. Dr. Laura Chen, family systems, boundary, work. Every Tuesday, talking through 32 years of stuff I'd spent my whole life avoiding. It's hard. Some weeks it's exhausting, but it's probably the most important thing I've ever done for myself. And there's someone new, too, Nate. Met him at a design conference in May. He's an architect, kind eyes, absolutely no sense of direction, and zero idea who the Bennetts of Beacon Hill even are. He likes me for me, my work, my laugh, the fact that I talk to my plants. It's slow, it's new. First time I've let someone in without worrying what they'd think of my family. Grandma finishes her wine, sets the glass down. You know, she says, I've been thinking about what I want my legacy to be. You already gave me a legacy, I say, gesturing at the penthouse, not the property. She shakes her head. The other thing, the thing that matters. I wait. I spent too many years keeping the peace, she says, staying quiet to avoid conflict, letting Susan become who she became because confronting her felt too painful. She looks at me steady. I don't want that for you. I want you to speak the truth even when it's hard. I want you to protect yourself even when it feels selfish. Being kind doesn't mean being silent. I feel my eyes prick up. I'll remember. Good. She pats my hand. Now, what's for dinner? All this emotion's making me hungry. I laugh, and it fills the whole evening. This is my life now. A penthouse that's actually mine. A grandmother who loves me. A business that's growing. Boundaries that are firm. A future I'm building. One honest choice at a time. If you're watching this, and maybe your family expects you to sacrifice yourself for their comfort, maybe you've been told that setting a limit makes you selfish, I just want to say, you're allowed to want more. Being kind to yourself isn't the opposite of being kind to others. It's the foundation of it. Thanks for staying with me till the end. If this one hit home for you, if it reminded you that you deserve respect, that your boundaries actually matter, leave a comment, tell me your story. I really do want to hear it. Take care of yourselves. And, seriously, protecting your peace isn't a crime. It's a necessity. I'll see you next time.